I don't think I need to tell you this, but I will anyway. X-Men 97 is awesome. I mean, I haven't seen, any negative opinions on the show. Some nitpicks here and there, obviously. It is still a continuation of a cartoon from the 90s that's based on a comic book series. So some things just don't make sense, and that's okay. Because it doesn't take away from the fact that the X-Men are finally getting the respect they deserve. I'm sure there have been some great X-Men comics coming out, but I haven't been keeping up with them, and that's kind of the problem. Outside of the comics, the X-Men haven't been having a great time recently. Easily the most popular and mainstream X-Men content was the live-action movies. And I think most normal people stopped watching those after, Days of Future Past. I don't know how many people actually watched Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, or New Mutants. I mean, I did, so, there's at least one. Of course, we got the Deadpools and Logan, but that's kind of the other problem I want to talk about. Yes, Deadpool belonged to Fox and was technically an X-Men movie. I don't think many people actually associate Deadpool with the X-Men specifically. He's kind of always just been doing his own thing in Marvel. And as for Logan, Wolverine was the only character who I'm comfortable saying was well-written and respected in the X-Men movies. I could see some arguments for characters who were portrayed really well by talented actors or had some great moments, but I still think everyone not played by Hugh Jackman was done dirty. Xavier's incapacitated or killed or depowered in every movie. It took way too many movies for Magneto to get his point across, and it still never really made him seem all that reasonable. Rogue in every other version I've seen is normally a perfect example of persevering and making the most of the curse that is a mutation and making it the gift that it is. And in the movies, they made her get rid of her powers so she could kiss a boy. Storm and Iceman do nothing impressive enough to show why they are Omega-level threats. Jean wasn't developed enough before becoming the Phoenix either time. And, of course, Cyclops. My god, Cyclops was the worst. I mean, he wasn't the worst, but, he just didn't do anything. So, no one wanted anything to do with Cyclops ever again. Now, I'm sure there are people out there who are just dying to yell at me about how great X-Men content outside of comics and movies were. And I'm with you. I personally was not alive when the animated series came out, but I'm sure I watched some episodes as a kid, but I really don't have any kind of memory of what that show was. I have no idea what happened in it outside of clips I've seen that have been resurfacing. See, I grew up on X-Men Evolution, which I also don't really remember a whole lot, but I remember enjoying it. And the reviews look good, and the internet seems to remember the show as fondly as I do, so we can count that as a dub for the X-Men. But unfortunately, it only ran for about 4-ish years, so only lasted around the same time when people thought the X-Men movies were pretty cool. After Evolution, the next show was Wolverine and the X-Men, which came out in 2009 and was canceled in 2009. Now, people love this one, and it's real unfortunate that another one of the great Marvel animated shows got canceled too soon. And that's it for the shows. Just real quick for games, we got the arcade stuff, we got X-Men Legends that came out in 2004 and 2005, and we got X-Men Destiny, which came out in 2011. And that's pretty much it. Thinking about it, the X-Men were actually a much bigger part of my childhood than I remember, because I played all of those games. I watched, most of those shows. And of course, I was watching all of the movies. And as a kid, I was really into all of the X-Men stuff. I don't think I really understood any of the discrimination stuff that was happening, but I was still having a blast. And as time went on, the X-Men kind of just started to fade away. They never really left because they did have someone carrying their name with him as he appeared in so many different things. I am, of course, talking about Wolverine. Let's be honest. If you have a Marvel game, you put Wolverine in it. He's the one you're pointing to and being like, hey, look, there he is. Look, it's Wolverine. He's an X-Men, but it's Wolverine. He was so great. They made him the main character for the movies. And then gave him spin-off movies where he continues to be the main character of more movies. Now, I don't want this to come off as I hate Wolverine, because I love Wolverine probably just as much as the next guy. He's super cool, his powers are easy to understand, and he gets incredible stories of being a lone wolf and then finding a family in the X-Men. And he's the easiest character to do more mature-rated content with. I can't wait for the Insomniac game. I still love this guy. I just wish his success didn't take away so much from the rest of the X-Men. Because they are all really cool characters and have really cool stories, but they just haven't been getting the love that I think they deserve. At least, that was until 97 came out. As soon as you start watching 97, you get this feeling. Yeah, this is what the X-Men should be. This feels like the X-Men that I've always had pictured in my head. That first episode immediately making you fall in love with every single character and understanding who they are and why you should care about them. The story, the animation, the goddamn music, all in that first episode. Like, it's so simple and to the point, tells you everything you need to know, and it's just a great time. And then episode 2 happens and it's like, oh, they're going places with this. Like, this isn't just gonna be good. This is gonna be heavy and intense, and it's really cool. Then episode 3 happens, and it does a lot. Like the introduction of Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen, and Mr. Sinister, and just speeding through that story, but in the best way possible. And then we hit episode 4, and it's like, okay, this is what I thought this show would be. Just some fun stories to give all the different characters something to do. And then episode 5 starts, and it's like, hey, look, it's mutants, and they're also happy, and I haven't read any of the comics, so I don't really know the significance about Genosha, but I recognize so many of the people here, and everyone just seems to be having a great time, and it gets sad for a second with Rogue and Gambit, but hey, then, we go to a party, and we're dancing. Was that the Watcher? That's a fun cameo. I'm not going to think any more on that, because look at how happy everyone is. Is that Cable? What's Cable doing? What's going on in the back over there? What's happening? Can someone tell me what is happening?
Hab keine Angst.
That was absolutely incredible to watch, and I am devastated. So then, 6 starts, and shut up, Charles! No one cares, Charles! Everything's going to shit right now, and no one cares about your space politics, Charles, okay? Shut up! So we finally get to episode 7, and it's so good. My boy Nightcrawler is finally on the team. They're hunting down Trask, and Captain America shows up, and they fight the Trask Sentinel, and it's all super cool. And then 8, 9, and 10 happen. Tolerance is Extinction happens. And it is, I want to say, perfect so badly. I know it's not perfect. Getting all the new Sentinels, and the best fight scene with Nightcrawler and Wolverine protecting the mansion, the Summers family crashing every vehicle they possibly can, and the big X-Men family reunion, and then being split apart again, and all the new/old costumes, all of the cameos, the cliffhangers. I mean, come on, dude. There are just so many moments that will live in my head for the rest of my life.
To me, my X-Men.
Please do not make me let you down.
Let them thunder, for I am lightning!
The name's Gambit, mon ami.
Remember it! Magneto was right.
Magneto lives!
Mommy's busy.
What? How did that one get in there? I obviously know. It's hot. This show is really hot. Like, everyone is hot. Cyclops out there giving some real Nanami vibes, all right? Just tall and built, very cleaned up, a real stickler for the rules. Like, it's hot. And then on the other side of that, you got Gambit, who's just walking around in that crop top, like, letting everyone know. All right, okay, I see you. Rogue just has this aura around her that is just that, right? Like, it's this the entire time. Storm getting her powers back is almost as beautiful as she is when she gets that new outfit. And Jean Grey is hot. But when Madeline Pryor becomes the Goblin Queen, just move on. Just cut to anything else right now, please, for the love of God. Just cut to anything. Jesus Christ, why is he so hot? Why is he only in a Speedo? Like, put anything on, put pants on him. Man's just out here with his shoulders out all the time. Like, talk about a slut. But no, like, it's everyone. Everyone is hot except Wolverine. Like, he's not bad looking, he's just not hot, and I kind of love that. In fact, I kind of love everything about this Wolverine. They still do everything they need to do to make sure Wolverine is one of the coolest characters, and he gets a lot of great moments with Jean and Morph, and most importantly, he is only as cool as everyone else around him. Just about every single character gets their moment, including one of my two absolute favorite X-Men, Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler was only in half the season, and he was him. Nightcrawler plays the ultimate support role for the X-Men in both combat and in friendship. He was the best. I've always loved Nightcrawler. Anytime this dude showed up in anything, I've always loved it. Now, my other favorite X-Men is Jubilee, and I can't tell you why. Like I said, I don't remember the original animated series, and she wasn't really in anything else, so I don't know why, but I love Jubilee. And I was so happy with how much of her we got in 97. Motendo does nothing for the overall story, but it's still such a fun episode to watch. Like, I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and he saw Jubilee and was just like, so is her powers just fireworks? And I was like, kind of, pretty much, yeah. And he did the classic normie thing of like, oh, that's kind of lame. And I just turned to him and said, you know what would happen if I shot off a firework directly into your face? And he paused for a second and then immediately changed his mind. And then the glitch Jubilee from Motendo started doing all the cool stuff with her powers, and we were winning. We were winning. We're proving everyone wrong. And by the way, Jubilee isn't the only one in the X-Men with a power that people clown on. Like, on the surface, Gambit just makes cards explode. But 97 made sure you knew just how cool this guy was. He uses his powers in the best ways. Like when he charges up Wolverine, like that moment in the trailer, that won me over. And they did such a good job developing him and his relationship with Rogue that after 5 episodes, that death stays with you. And of course, it only gets harder when we follow Rogue, who is yet another incredible character. She is angry after Genosha, rightfully so, but it is heartbreaking watching her go through everything, and putting her at the center of Genosha is such good motivation for her, and it makes sense why she wants to side with Magneto and kill Trask. Let's just talk about that moment real quick. She drops him, and everyone reacts, but no one does anything to try to save him.
Is this who we are now?
Maybe it's who you should be. Maybe Magneto is right, because Magneto is another fantastic character. Seeing him join the X-Men and really try to do what Charles wanted is really inspiring. And it was working. And then Genosha happened, and it breaks Magneto. And again, you just get it. I could keep going, but it's kind of just going to be the same for all the characters. They have great stories and character development, and their powers are put on display to show off just how cool they all are. I think everyone, probably except Beast, was done really well. Like, Beast was fine, he just didn't get all that much to do. But the character who really deserves praise is Cyclops. The first fight scene. He walks in and just starts embarrassing these people. He was throwing hands and blasting them and blasting to move himself around, and then he has the audacity to hit them with a
Not.
The entire first episode shows you everything Cyclops is supposed to be. He is a dork, but he is a leader. He is the leader. And while the X-Men might not always like him, they know he is really good at what he does. He is the best person to be in charge. I was actually kind of sad to see Magneto just take over the role of leader, but it gave Scott the room he needed to get that story with Jean and Madeline and Nathan and make all that as impactful as it was. He was dealing with a complicated situation, and you see just how much he's struggling with everything when he breaks during the interview and calls out that he is risking his life, his family's life, for people who are ungrateful and hate him. But when things got bad, he stepped back up and he led the X-Men again and showed everyone just how great he is. I mean, in that last fight, Bastion just beat all of Gold Team, which included Jean and Storm, and then beat up Sunspot and Rogue, and Cyclops was able to hold his own. He went toe-to-toe. He went beam to beam with this man, and won. And then he kind of didn't, but still, like, it's really impressive. X-Men 97 did the impossible. It put respect on the X-Men, and not just some of the X-Men, all of the X-Men. You understand every single character. You see what mutants can do, and you kind of understand why people would be scared enough to do something as drastic as they do. And then you see what the humans do, and you can't help but think Magneto was right. And while humans and mutants are at war, the X-Men are there to be better. to forgive and to accept and to love no matter what. That's the X-Men. And that's what this show did. This is not only a great X-Men product, but I think this is one of the best things we've seen from Marvel. For sure the best thing we've seen since Infinity War and Endgame, but for me, personally, this might just be my favorite. And I know I am not the only one who feels that way. And if that's not praise, then I don't know what is. I mean, I'm someone who did not hate the Marvels. I loved Shang-Chi, but I can admit Marvel has not been great lately. But 97 is. I think I'm probably in the minority here, and I know why it can't happen, but I just want this. I want so much more of this. Like, take the budget for a movie and give it to this team. I know it won't make as much money, but this is just it's so much better. When I was watching Remember It, all I could think is that a live action could never do this. They just can't do action the same way it can be done in animation. And they haven't shown that they can make me care about someone as fast as I cared about Gambit. Hell, as fast as I cared about Leech. I love this show. I just want more of it. I'm recording this the first Wednesday after the finale, and I just feel like there's a hole in my heart. And I went into Disney Plus and I saw one of the assemble, like, behind the scenes specials that Marvel does, but it was $4.97. And I have never watched one of those before, but I absolutely went in to watch this one. And if you really want to understand just how special this show is, go watch The Assembled, The Making of X-Men 97. I never would have thought that the X-Men could make me feel this way. And the fact that it does, like, it just makes me so happy. It also makes me really happy to know that I could just make a video on whatever thing I love, and someone's going to watch it. So thank you. If you haven't watched X-Men 97, go do that. But if you have, what is your favorite thing about this show? Because I just want to keep talking about this, and hopefully I can just go in the comments and chat with you guys about it. Okay, thanks. See you.